I think that patience is going to be warranted for all of us. So Jadelyn, you are not currently logged into your zoom.boisestate.us. If you do that, you won't have to go to the waiting room. So log in to your Zoom. Taylor, same thing. Then your security's already been verified. So when you come into Zoom, go ahead and mute your screen and mute your microphone. Mute your screen and mute your microphone. Yes. You need to go through your Blackboard, go through the Zoom links located right here along your left side navigation bar. Click on Zoom links and then join today's meeting. And if you're sitting at a table all by yourself, I'm going to actually ask you to get up and move very intentionally, trying to stay as far away from everybody as possible, and move to a table that already has 2 people. So you're going to need to move over to one of those 2 tables, and you're also going to need to move just for our discussions. So Brendan, who are you, Brendan? You're Logan. You're Brendan. Okay, you need to be logged into zoom.boisestate.us. So being logged into that and having that open on your browser is what's going to allow you to just feed directly into our Blackboard Zoom without having to be given permission to come in. Who else? Deborah, same thing. So hop out of Zoom if you're in it right now. Log into zoom.boisestate.us. And then open up your join the Zoom link for the class. Remember to mute your screen and mute your microphone. And so because we don't get to come up in front of the class and make a presentation, and some of us have softer voices than others, we'll be using Zoom to present from our tables to our classmates. We're going to work on a few different projects today, discussions, if you will. Is everybody getting it figured out? Okay, great. Great, great, great. Please feel free to update your username. All you have to do is go into participants, select more, and select rename. Change it to maybe just your first name or however you would like us to address you. And then please include your pronouns. Please include your pronouns. So you can move back to that table with those 2 individuals. Excellent. Oh, great. Now Zoom wants to update. Okay. Go ahead and join. Yeah, you want to join the meeting first. Okay, are you logged into zoom.boisestate.edu? Okay, so give it another shot, and then close out of the other Zoom entirely, because if it's showing you still as like waiting, you've got to go all the way out to rejoin. Trust me, you guys, once we get this logistics figured out, you're going to be able to streamline all of your classes. It's going to be so much easier. So please rename yourself, and I'm going to go ahead and admit the people that are still in the waiting room. You guys want to definitely figure out your Boise State, zoom.boisestate.us. Make sure and start logging into that. Yeah. Okay, did you close all the way out of Zoom first, like shut the entire application down? Okay, you might want to double check your credentialing, and if you can, go down to the zone and talk to them about the difficulties that you're having with using the protocol that Boise State has set up for us. Because what they tell us is that if you log into your Boise State Zoom, you should have no resistance. You should be able to just go straight into the class. Okay. And if that's not working, then maybe there's a setting that needs to be adjusted. Thank you, everybody, for updating your names and pronouns as well. Staying mindful of that. Please find a table that has an empty spot where there are already other people. We're working on discussions today. So the more people, the merrier. Okay. I want to close that. And I want to share my screen. We're going to do this one. Okay. Logistics. What's our next logistics, folks? Seating, right? We got to log in and sign into our seat. So going into your my.boisestate.edu. So remember how last week all I had to do was turn this on and it displayed automatically? That's not working. Watch what I'm going to do here, folks. All right, I don't let nothing stop me. Here we go. Actual. Thank you very much. All right, I'm going to have that seating chart up here in just a second. Great. Thank you so much. Well, I'll just do this one. All right, so there's our stairs right there. So that table, right, 35, 34, 36. This next table, 17, 18, 16. Year 15, if that helps orient everybody. Obviously, there's nobody at 29, 28, 30, or 27, 25, 26. So I do believe you are number one. Okay, so go ahead and register your seatings. Yeah, you are number one. You're number one. You're number 4. Okay, go ahead and register your seat. And I will somehow get this uploaded to my drive. And then we can go from there. All right, does everybody get their seating logged on your my.boisestate.edu? Brilliant. Look at all this housekeeping tchotchke that we have to get through. Okay, first thing what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and open up Blackboard, keep yourself in Zoom. You're gonna have this discussion with the people at your round table. You guys are just gonna talk about the logistics of the class. What did you run into that was a hurdle for you? What other questions do you have? See what each of you can answer of each other's. And if you're like, yeah, I totally got this, this is like a no-brainer, then do yourselves a favor, walk through the syllabus together, okay? Walk through the syllabus, see what questions come up. I'm gonna call on somebody from every single table, and you'll need to speak to at least something, all right? All right, I'm gonna turn on some music. Go ahead and begin discussing. Those of you zooming in, pay attention to what the people are talking about. See what you have to contribute. You can add that into the chat. Brilliant. Talking involves voices. I don't hear any of those yet. No judgment. I mean, telepathically, if y'all are doing that, congratulations.
I thought it would be through the week because it's supposed to be every day, but she's supposed to check it in class, so that also doesn't make sense for last week either, so I don't really know. I didn't do it.
But one of them is like an everyday thing, but I think another one is
say goodbye. Please, so darling, don't describe. After the sun comes rain or cry. Remember our days in the sky. Heart is beating every day since we had said farewell. Still can taste your tender skin. Also good like cinnamon. Hey, my little honeybee. Honeybee, far away that's hurting me. Miss you, darling, far away. Oh, sweet smelling summer day.
So you go to your Blackboard course site, select Zoom links, and click on today's session to join.
How many times did you post on Bubble? How many times did you post on Bubble? I only posted twice.
You were wondering, you are seat 17 and you are seat 18. Okay, let's start with, let's just start with seat number 1. Seat number 1, bring me a question from your table.
What kind of fluffy?
Through Blackboard after our class last week on Monday. All right, did somebody just pop into the chat? My audio isn't working. Oh, she sent that to me privately. Now we all know about it. All right, next question, back table, go ahead. Give me bullet points. Yeah, just give me bullet points. You don't need to have something like a transcript. No. Don't waste your time with that. Just have some bullet points. Because you're given a condensed amount of time, you're gonna want bullet points anyway, so you make sure and speak to those things. Yep, bullet points is just fine. I don't need a transcript. That was an excellent clarification. All right, somebody at this front table. Okay. Okay. No, it doesn't need to be traditional. It's whatever you do. I had students submit handwritten notes that they took a picture of as their documentation. I had students submit Google Docs that had bullet points. I had a student submit, they had printed things out, like the Flourishing. They'd printed it out and they'd highlighted it on and wrote notes in the margin, and they submitted that as well. I'm not asking you to change your approach. What I'm asking you to do is document that, right? Create a context for me to understand that. And if you need to, like, you upload a picture in the comments, you can describe, like, not lengthy, but just give me some context behind it. That's awesome. Yes. I could take, okay, you can hear, okay. All of them, but this is what you can do. You can actually take a picture of all three in one picture and send me that, and I can zoom in and look. I don't want the logistic of getting this submitted to occupy a lot of your brain space. So, great question. Great question. All right, your table, go ahead. The suggestion that I made last week was, I would love to see you do something every day. I would love for you to happen upon something in your life, whether it's something you see and you take a picture of, or a song that you hear that you like, or something you run across TikTok or Instagram, or a screenshot of a loving text message from a friend, right? I would love for you to be able to upload something every day that engenders sort of a happiness feeling for you. Yeah. What's the requirement for the grade? I haven't decided yet, but it's not going to be have something posted every single day. I'm going to be really focusing on quality. But in my experience, if you, right, the bigger the net, the more fish, because you're going to be incorporating your bubble up into your final and into your curation, that's going to be important. So the more you have, the better. So striving to have at least one every day would be awesome. Yes. I'm going to have you submit just a really brief, condensed summary of any patterns that you're seeing in your experiences, maybe things that you're realizing that you hadn't been paying attention to, maybe how your attention to your happiness experience is shifting, and really focusing on how your definition of what engenders happiness for you is evolving. Yes? Oh, no. The question about bubble up postings from the summer, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it doesn't have to be real time. You can even go way, way, way back if you want to. Anything that when you stumble upon it, when you're looking through your photos or something else like that makes you feel happy, or if something shows up on your Facebook page that was from 7 years ago, it's all material. All right, folks, how about this table? What do you have for me? Okay, any follow-ups from anybody on the journals? Yeah, this week the rubber meets the road. I would say from last week, if you did all of the happiness is prompts, you would have at least that one. And then maybe if you had looked at this information, you would probably have at least one or maybe two of the gratitudes. But I don't have any expectations from that first week. All right, table back there, questions? On our announcements page, you're going to get the happiness prompts today. They're the same ones we're going to use in every class. Okay, why isn't Blackboard working? That was getting ready for Monday. So here's our follow-up, our follow-through, our PERMA. And did I post those in here? Yeah, it's at the end of this video, the happiness prompt. Taylor. Let's see. Were you able to access the video through this YouTube link? The other one, the meditation one? Okay. Okay, how about the videos in the weekly folders? Okay, so what I have here is a difference of how I'm posting it. In that announcement, I included the YouTube video as a thumbnail, but apparently when I embed it, it allows you to watch it more easily. That was an error on my part on the announcements. I always include the YouTube link if it's not loading through Blackboard. So I'm going to run through a little bit of what we covered, but I'll make sure and repost that so you can watch it. Okay, you guys got a question in? Okay, how about this table? What do you have for me? Okay. You didn't expect pre-work before the week? So let me see if I understand your question correctly. So for week one, the pre-work for week one, you were confused because the class hadn't started? Okay. Okay. So this wasn't instructive, or? Okay. Okay. Okay, and I posted those on the same day. Okay. Okay, but you got that clarification through the email that I sent with the video, that said to have you ready for week 2. Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is that the concern that you ran up against is that you have to do work for this week to get set up for our class on Monday, and that was not something you were accustomed to from earlier classes. Okay, all right, easy enough. Yeah, we always do prep work because our face-to-face time is intended to be discussion. We'll explore new content, and I'm going to give you guys some nuance, but the heavy lifting comes before class so that when we're in here, we can really work on clarifying and expanding what we know. I believe and trust that you all can watch videos and read things, and I can't retain things just from watching and reading things. So the opportunity to discuss them is really where we get the golden experience. So there's always prep work for this class, and also my Psych 101 class. When you have a discussion-based experience, you've got to do the work before you get here. And I understand that that's new to you, so welcome to that reframe. And I'm grateful to you for like championing that and sitting in that discomfort and still working through it, because I know that that's not easy. Okay, go ahead. So, oh. Okay, so reframing and thinking that the week starts on Sunday, would that be helpful for you? Okay. Okay, and that's again, in anticipating that confusion is why I created the video and sent the email and made the posting. Yeah, I know it's different, and so having that clarification is helpful. All right, so we're all clear that we do prep work. The prep work will always be the reflection and the content notes, okay? And then on the days where the journals are due, you guys will be bringing those into class. I've marked those on our syllabus. What else? Okay, I think that exhausts that. Are we still worried about week 2? Okay, go ahead, clarification. Wednesday. Awesome, go ahead. No, and there are several moving parts as to why that is. One of them being because, I mean, we can see this class is full. We have 35 students and we have 6 people out. I need to give those people, I've got to upload the Zoom from today, and I need to have at least a full day where that's all the content that's available before I post new information. So there's a rationale. There's a rationale. What's the concern regarding that? Okay. Okay. So basically, you prep everything, you submit it all on Sunday, you're in class on Monday, interacting and engaging. Tuesday is kind of a respite, and then Wednesday you're back on task for the class. Okay. Question? All right, let's have a question from this table. Okay. Perfect. Yes. So this in action, this first week, I wanted to keep it wicked simple. Okay, so you just have one. Next week, you're going to have a survey, a quiz. And the reason why I do the quizzes is that all of these are psychometrically validated. These are all actually used to collect data and research. So I wanted, because this is the art and science of happiness, I wanted to expose you to the measures that we use throughout the science. But you're also going to have other things to do that'll be in action, like random, was that a question? No, not for me? Okay. Random acts of kindness. You're going to write a letter of self-compassion. But for this first week, we just started off with the Oz quiz, the A quiz. But you'll always see a quiz in there, and then you'll have other things, and you'll get to opt into one of those other things. No, this is basically science in action. This is you doing things, and taking a quiz is you doing something. So in the inaction for next week, you're going to see a quiz, and you're going to see 2 other opportunities. You'll always take the quiz, and then you can opt into one of those other 2 or 3 opportunities, depending on however much. And then you can reflect on whatever you want out of those. You will always do the quiz, and then there will be at least 2 other things that you get to choose between. And you get to choose there, but you can reflect on the quiz or one of the other inactions, whichever you experienced in this column. Or if you want to integrate everything that you did in that column, that's awesome. That's helping you work towards that final that you'll be presenting. Yeah, great question. Yes? Oh yeah, Labor Day, no Monday. Oh, well, I can give you a little myth buster on that one. This is the week where we talk about engagement. You guys are still going to have the same level of activities. I don't have anything visible in here. You're still going to have the same level of activities and interaction. You'll still have content notes to submit. You'll still have a reflection to complete. We just won't have this shared space to debrief that. So the following week, when we talk about when relationships is sort of the topic at hand, we'll talk about both engagement and relationships. Yeah. Questions? Yes. So when you go to present, and what I'm hearing in just this reporting out is that it seems like everybody across the room can hear you. Not every student, because you can't come up and stand at the front and use a microphone and project. This is our workaround to ensure that people who don't have that presence can still present to the class if they have a softer demeanor. The other thing is that we have students who are out of this class because they've been asked by the CDC or somebody else because they've been exposed to COVID, have COVID-like symptoms, or maybe have a sinus infection and are worried about stressing other people out. So we have the Zoom set up in order to ensure that everybody gets to stay on time and engage in the class. It is not something that I'm thrilled with. It's not something that's easy for me. It's an additional technological logistic that is not fun for me in the least. But it's the times that we're in right now. And this is the way that we ensure that this experience gets to stay available to everybody. Does that make sense? No, you don't need to unmute. So what I'm doing while we're having this question and answer is that I'm actually restating your questions into this microphone so that the people that are listening in can hear that. Now, when we break out into discussions, I went over and discreetly asked a table to take off their mics so that the people that are on Zoom can actually hear a discussion that's happening real time in class. Okay, and eventually, as I figure this logistic, like I'm building the plane as I fly it, eventually we'll be able to loop in the people that are on Zoom into an area where they can interact. Does that make sense? I appreciate your patience and I understand the question. No, I totally get it. Yes. Well, so your journaling is going to be something that you do after. The bubble up is also something you're going to be doing, right? So you have these things that are continuous, but your pre-work is primarily focused on getting you ready for that. So there's nothing that I have assigned for class, but there will be sometimes experiences where I'm going to ask you to complete something online. It might be that I ask you to take an implicit bias survey and report back. That would be listed as a participation for that day. But there is nothing set. Like there is no, every single day you complete an exit ticket. There's none of that. But everything that you're doing in your discussions feeds into your curation as well as your final happiness fit presentations. All right, great questions. Okay, go ahead, last one. I think that's what we're going to have to do because we have 6 people out for various reasons. I've only heard from 4 of them. This is one of the things that the university is asking us to do to ensure that every student, they don't risk coming here if they are symptomatic and exposing people because they're worried about missing class. So I hope that I've made that clear, that's why we have this, in an effort to stay inclusive. You're going to be talking to the people at your table. You're going to be presenting to the class. You're going to be interacting in this environment. You're not just going to be working exclusively through Zoom. In my Psych 101 class that is held in the Extra Mile Arena, that's the only way that they can hear me is through Zoom. So I have to present through Zoom in order to have them engage in the class and even hear me, because there are 2 classes happening in there at the same time. This is a logistical sandwich of which I never wanted to take a bite of, but I would rather have this sandwich than not get to be here. I wanted to be face-to-face. I am one of 3 faculty members out of the 12 in my department that made this commitment. Actually, I think there's 4 of us, because we know how important this relating is. We know what it means and how hard it is to focus. If I had to teach from home, I would not be doing very well because my kids are there, my dog's there, I got chickens to worry about, I got laundry to do, right? All of us have those distractions. But I also want to be here because I want to be peopling all the time, right? When I say something and I see somebody, even though I don't get to see your face, right? I see a furrowed brow, I'm like, you have a question. I don't have that luxury via Zoom. There's a lot to that teaching environment. Now, can I teach remotely? Absolutely. I got that shit figured out. But I'd rather be here for sure. Okay. Are we good? Like, are we fully ready? Do we understand that we have until tonight at 11:59 p.m. to submit our content notes, to also submit our reflections? Okay. That's what we'll be doing every single week. Everything will need to be submitted by Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. Another reason why we have this preparatory work is that this is a 7-week class. We meet for a little over like a week less than what half a semester would normally be. So we have extra work that we need to do. So we need to do heavy lifting before we get there. We do heavy lifting while we're here. Okay, and then we take those opportunities through our journals and reflections to solidify that. Brilliant. Yes. No, nope, we're good. All right, now I want you to discuss A. All of you completed the A quiz. If you did the preparatory work, I want you to, now that you know what A is, okay, based upon that content, they even provided you with some metric by which you could judge yourself on your A recognition. Talk in your group about what that looks like for you. Specifically, right, where do you find it? Okay, what does A look like for you, and where do you find it? And I would encourage you to share things from your bubble up if A has made its way into your bubble up as well. I'll turn back on the music. You bet.
I kind of talked about how like things that are uncomfortable or like new to you like play into awe, because I feel like if I do something that's like different for me, I feel like more awe because it's new, and so like you just like soak in like newer things quicker, I guess, which I thought was kind of.
Find awe like so good on our reflection, and now I can't remember what I said. Yeah, like you said, it's like an emotional like response that someone gets when they see something that's like extraordinary or like something, and that's like raising like those things that are like not that person or like.
Like for me, like awe, be a lot of like when it's get a party or like that, to wear that out there, like I'm not gonna get
I think mine is more of like being like being in the outdoors and there's like no people, like zero people, like no like technology or like no sense of like society or anything. That's
I always tell myself, never be like when you're out.
Yeah. Just the new like feeling. Like that. Yeah. I like new feelings. I like awe. When I do new things.
like just like a new like activity.
Yeah, so like I just like taught myself to snowboard over the last couple of years, and so like every day is like learning something new, and I just get like more awe or like excited, like a cooler feeling. And I'm sure that like once I am good and like actually good at it, like it won't be as awe moment, but like it still is because the nature and then the calmness type thing.
So if you like when you walk
Yeah, usually. Then I see like a different route or something. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like routine things, but like I like to find different ways until I get the routine. So, like, yeah. I hope they can hear us. I feel like we're still like.
All right, so bringing ourselves back to our discussion. What I would like for you to do is, I would like for one person at your table choose to be the scribe, okay? Now the scribe is going to use the markers at the table and the large piece of paper. And what you're going to do is that collectively, I'm going to let you guys take a break. And then when you come back, collectively, what you're going to do as a group at your table, and we'll have the individual that's on Zoom in with you guys so you guys can talk through that. But I want you to create sort of a primer, right? And in a way, this is, you're going to teach me how to identify awe, and you're going to provide me with some examples, okay? Does that make sense? So you're going to define awe and then provide some examples. In that definition, right, be mindful that you are working towards a definition that is broad enough to encompass a lot of variety, right? Because awe isn't just a sunrise, okay? So being mindful of that. Go ahead and take a break. It is 2 minutes short of 10. Are those restrooms still closed? No, they're not. They're open again. Okay. So we have restrooms up here. Please be mindful of space and waiting. And then restrooms are downstairs. You walk towards Jordan Ballroom, and then they're like behind a wall next to some vending machines. Let's see you back here at, let's say 5 after 10. And you guys can start the discussion? Awesome. Thank you. So what I'll have you folks do is I'll have you unmic and turn your cameras on. So your mic will be on and your camera will be on when you guys come back in to do the discussion, okay? And then Zoe, who's zooming in today, will pop in and engage with you guys. I mean, right? Ideally, they'll be able to close theirs and you guys will keep yours open. Okay? Yeah, perfect. And when you guys come back in, you can kind of disconnect your Zoom while you have your discussion. Like you can just close your laptops and things like that. We have the students who are Zooming in, joining another table. So I don't want you to be distracted by their talking as well. Okay. So when you guys get started, you can go ahead and close your computers. You don't need to be Zooming right now. I have the individuals that are on Zoom today out of necessity Zooming in at another table. Yeah, you can log out, but you'll want to or need to log back in a little later. Okay, thank you. It helps, right? Especially when you put it up there. It helps. If you want to make it sideways, you can make it sideways too. I mean, we can work with a lot. Okay. Okay, this camera is freaking me out. Oh my goodness. It is kind of annoying. You guys can close your computers when you come back in. I've got this table is going to be Zooming with the individuals that are out. You're using that to wipe down the markers before and after you use them, and then you'll put the markers away on your way out. There's more wipes over there that you can use to wipe down the table. Perfect. You guys can go ahead and close your computers when you guys get to discussing and starting to create it. Just the people that are Zooming in are going to meet with that group over there that just has to. Don't never apologize for being confused. Okay. And did you get the video that I sent via email saying being prepared for week 2? Yeah. Were you able to get that? Okay. Yeah, I got it. I just was really confused because I was like, I was only looking at week 1 because I thought we were still in week 1. Okay. So I was just very. And obviously. I watched the video like 3 times. Okay, well, obviously you're not alone, right? Because a lot of people had that question, and this is just like, this is the culture, this is the context. It's not going to count against you. Being confused shouldn't count against you. Did you send me an email and ask a question? Okay. Am I good? Am I good with that, Taylor? I'm kind of a rock star when it comes to emailing. Yeah. Yeah, don't hesitate. No worries. I get it. I get it. Well, and I mean, like, if we could add just more layers of overwhelm right now, and I'll explain to you guys by the end of the semester what this is doing to our brains, because it's pretty catastrophic. I mean, basically, we are all in a state of fight or flight constantly, because we're having to navigate so many things, and there's so much discord and discomfort. And I don't know about you guys, but when I see somebody walking by in a closed space that doesn't have a mask on, like, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, don't you know? I know, but that's also not my job, right? And they get to choose, right? But it's that fear response. I mean, those things are just happening nonstop. So, oh, please, yes. No, you can step out. You can even step out up in there. Yeah, you just need to be away from everybody. You need to be at least 10 feet away from absolutely everybody. Yeah. I get it. You guys can close your computers when you get back to discussing, just because we have one table that's going to go ahead and maintain the Zoom and loop in the people that are calling in to discuss. All righty? Did you guys hear my message about the computers? All right, perfect. Just, yeah. And I love, love, love your mask. Did somebody who cares about you make that for you? Or did you purchase it?
My boss's mom made it for
Yeah, I bet you would. I will take that one. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. All right, is everybody clear on our task at hand right now? Working on pulling together your definition of awe, making sure that it's broad enough to be inclusive, and then some examples that you come up with. And by your definition, I mean you don't get to use the one that they gave you. You don't get to use one that you Google. This is something that needs to be an amalgam of your 3 different perspectives, right? Those perspectives are based upon many different ways of knowing. All right, we have intellectual ways of knowing. We have sensational ways of knowing, and by sensational, I think goosebumps, right? Those things that give you goosebumps. We have emotional ways of knowing. We also have spiritual ways of knowing. We have metacognitive ways of knowing, but you want it to be a conglomerate, right? You want it to be an enmeshment of your 3. So none of your definitions will look the same. Okay, so don't just use what you've been given from the science, right? Create your own based upon your experience. All right, hop to it. Zoe. ZOE. Go ahead and send them a private message in the chat and tell them to turn on their camera.
Okay.
Okay, you guys can go ahead and close your computers.
Might have heard you say that because I unmuted myself.
You guys are going to be doing that one. You're going to be writing it on the sticky.
Yeah.
You're going to be presenting it.
Oh, what the?
I'm trying to see where the camera won't be able to follow me. Oh, here's this blind spot right here. Yep. You want to go ahead and close that down? Thanks.
To her? Yeah. Did you type something to her already? Yeah, just send it. I didn't type it.
I said, hi, Mode. You, Connor, and I are going to be working together on our definition. If you would turn your mic and camera on.
Oh, there she
I can
is.
hear you guys.
Oh, shoot, my. Hello?
Hi.
Hello?
Hello. I can't hear anything. Oh, I turned my volume off. We're supposed to be making like our own definition of awe, and then they give examples.
All that?
No, like we all come up with one.
Okay.
Can you see?
Definition of awe. I don't know.
Huh? The music? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys have headphones?
Yeah.
I don't.
You don't?
I could, we could just do this on like one computer like this. I could share it.
If you're okay with that,
Yeah,
that
it's
earwax, that's a
It's up to you.
little dicey.
It's up to you.
I'm good. You can just hear her.
Yeah. Okay. I always have trouble connecting my AirPods to my computer.
Should we do all red or black?
Red. ahead.
I mean, I don't have the best handwriting.
Me neither. That's why I said no. How do you know how to do this?
No.
I just did it the other day. I'll figure it out. I mean, I guess.
Well. So, I guess we were coming up with a definition of awe. Okay, but we
Okay, you're right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, what if it's like when you witness something that makes you like a feeling, a happy feeling, of like wonder, curiosity.
Yeah.
That's
Wonder,
not it.
curiosity, happiness, something.
Okay, so this is when you see it in your practice.
Yeah, we could say.
Experience.
Yeah, and experience. Or when
There's Tammy. Sensation.
yeah, it's
Can you guys hear me?
wonder, and curiosity. I mean, it can possibly go with happiness.
Okay, so an experience.
Yeah, make it nice and pretty. It doesn't have to be pretty. That's not a real expectation.
Experience.
Well, you'll be moving up here to present it. So, yep.
That.
All right, have one of you volunteer or designate yourself as the presenter. Discuss amongst yourselves and the people physically present who wants to present.
Okay.
Your collective definition of awe. Yes. Yes. And then one of you all will need to be prepared to present. And we'll navigate safely up to that part of the class. Okay. So one of you is going to need to volunteer to present as well. Keep that in mind. Designate a presenter at your table. Great. One of you is going to present. Be ready for that.
What? Can you guys hear
Have
me?
a presenter.
What did you say?
Can you hear me?
Somebody step up and
Yeah.
be a presenter.
What are we
of
doing
your
right now?
content, and somebody present up and be a presenter of your content as well.
Wait, what?
Trying to come up with our own definition of awe. Like time.
I can't hear you.
Do anybody need a redo?
We're trying to come up with our own definition of awe from the assignments that we did over the weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, so far we said an experience that evokes a sense of joy or something, but we're trying to figure out if we want to say that or we want to put it a different way.
Okay.
So yeah, we're doing that. I don't know what it was the other thing you said. like the other word you said.
Like out of world, like outworldly. I mean, it was
Oh,
a weird word. Is that what you're talking about?
outwardly. Yeah. They're like,
Can we say like an what's like when you can't like awe is more of something like it's supposed to be like awe is not or like it makes me like happy or can't really describe awe. You're saying like a creature's feeling similar to that of wonder. Wonder and something else? You said wonder. Right. Wonder. Oh my God, this is part of that.
good.
To wonder and euphoria. I don't even know how to. Is it E-U-P-H? Oh, up there. I was looking at all these blue words. I was like, okay, now I have to make the examples.
Examples too.
Yeah.
Like just things that we think.
I think you and I would
That's it.
say.
Like kind of stuff you said.
Yeah. We can say like space.
Yeah, I think
That
space,
freaks me out too.
like this. Cars are
Where it's like,
yeah. Yeah, it's great.
bless you.
Yeah.
Maybe like,
Yeah. Yeah. It's okay. It's Monday.
Or one thing that is also kind of crazy is
Just do your best and be confident that your skills will improve with practice.
Like happy.
but it's still like when you think about it, like you know,
Ocean.
can you guys think of any like examples of awe?
What?
Examples of awe.
You guys have any so far?
Yeah, we have space, ocean, people, nature, and then we're gonna maybe write natural disasters. You know, we should write that one.
Gratitude practice, and you can hear more about it in episode 14, which you'll find at mindful15.com.
You guys have any ideas?
I don't know.
You guys are not on topic, which means you're done. You guys getting close? Okay.
Yeah.
Traveling is like a lot of
Yeah, or like you
Getting
said,
close?
like cultural like
Getting close?
exploration.
Close? Okay.
Like to go.
You guys are done? Nobody's writing or doing anything? All right, awesome.
Like hand in hand with like, but it can be done.
Are you folks done? Are you ready?
Yeah.
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 All I can do
yeah.
No, we will give our final, you'll do your final presentations in class that week. Yes. I want to say it's the first week of October. Or maybe it's October 3rd?
I know.
10th?
This was pretty good.
Yeah.
Say that you're going to put that.
Okay.
Just like that's like a
You guys ready?
kind of goes with like the wonder part, but like it's not really like the happiness part. Like
Are you folks prepared to wrap up?
yeah.
Okay.
You put like and or like yeah, like or like slash or I don't know.
All right. So we're gonna move to presenting. What I'm gonna have you do, because this creepy stalker camera follows me everywhere I walk, we're gonna have you bring your poster up here, and whoever's presenting can put it right here, and you'll stand over here on this side. Okay, if you're approaching from that side of the room, I'm going to stand over there so you can just come this way, the path of least resistance. Any questions on that? Okay, and everybody has white. I'm going to put these up here. And you're going to get to speak into a fun little microphone. I know, you're excited. You're excited. You're positive. You're maintaining a positive attitude, and you're really genuinely excited about this. Okay.
This is a definition, however.
Okay, this microphone is on. Testing, testing, testing. This microphone. So now this is the dominant microphone. Okay. So what you'll do is when you approach the central area, you will grab said wipe, and you will proceed to hold this fairly close so you can be heard throughout the room. And then also this will be projecting via Zoom. Is anyone having fun yet? All right, welcome, welcome. Are you ready to rumble? I had to do that. Okay, anytime I have a microphone. Okay. All right, let's do this. Let's start at that back table. Come on up. Nope, just one presenter. We don't have 18 feet up here for 6 feet on all sides. So you're approaching from this direction, Taylor, which means that I will walk this way. I'm wiping off the microphone.
Hello. Hope it works. Hi. So for our group, we said awe is an overwhelming feeling of inspiration, unfathomable to the human eye or to one's eye. Some examples of that are like viewpoints, art, food, one's talents, extreme experiences, city life, historical buildings, babies, science, and we kind of just said examples that each of us had, because like some of us grew up in small towns, some of us grew up in big cities, so we all had like different opinions of what awe is to us. And so it kind of just depends, I think, on one's perspective and one's upbringing, but yeah, it's a feeling of inspiration. I think it's something that's sometimes like undescribable, like how we said unfathomable to the human or to one's eye, because you like can't really explain it. It's just like it overtakes like what you can process, I think. Oh, sorry. I don't, not often. I just took a communication class too this summer, but it was over the computer. So I was like coming up here very confidently, and then now like looking at everyone, I'm like, oh no. Do I take this? All right. So for our definition, we put a sensation of the appreciation of existence. And then for some examples, we put like the natural world, like seeing like a field of flowers or like a really pretty sunset. And then there's man-made experiences like art and dance and culture. Experiencing human emotions, or like seeing someone do like a random act of kindness, humility. And then we put spiritual moments, not necessarily like religious, but they can be. Deja vu was an example that we put down. And then just so we included everything, we put like sensory awe, so like smell, touch, sight, hearing, taste, anything that has to do with those. Cassidy? Well, I'll just share, like for me this morning, I watched the sunrise for some reason. I just woke up. So I got to see that. So I thought, like, for the natural world, seeing like, aesthetically pleasing things like that. And also, it has to do with sight. Um, I'd say the only, like the closest thing that I could describe it as was like a warm feeling.
Hi, I'm Ellie. So, our definition of awe we said was an experience that evokes a speechless feeling similar to that of wonder and or euphoria. We originally had that of wonder and euphoria, but we were going to put as one of our examples like natural disasters, and that doesn't exactly evoke euphoria. So, sorry. So some of our examples, we were really broad with it. So we said space, ocean, people, nature, traveling, and cultural exploration. Just to explain a few of those. So like for ocean, we like really literally talked for like maybe 5 minutes or more about the fact that like only 5% of the ocean is discovered. Like that freaks us out. We're like, that should not be a thing. So yeah. Um, I guess it's just like mind blowing. Like I don't really know how to explain it. Just like the ocean is so big. Like the fact that only 5% of it has been explored, that scares me a little bit. Right. Like it is awesome. Like I don't know. It's cool to think about. Like it really makes you think, I guess. So do like natural disasters. But they're not necessarily like, yeah, it also scares me. That's not a feeling of euphoria. So no. No, no. Yeah. No.
Yeah. Okay. Hi. Hi, I'm Sawyer. For us, we chose like kind of a couple definitions, but our main one was that awe is an overwhelming sense of appreciation. Then we said it's kind of like a feeling of speechlessness or like a mental feeling with physical effects. And then we labeled out the effects. We said like goosebumps or like tearing up, chills, like a gasp or like a jaw drop, a smile. And then an example, obviously it could be physical, spiritual, but we said looking at like scenery, like a skyline or a sunset can invoke awe. So yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm.
You're great. Yeah, you're good. You're good. There's a wipe. Don't forget your mic.
Hello. Hello. Okay, so okay. So our definition of awe was experiencing something you love and or bringing you a sense of wonderment. It evokes positive feelings and happiness. So some examples include listening to exceptionally good music and getting like chills. Like I know I do when like I'm watching like what's up? I don't know, like American Idol or like, you know, all those things, like old episodes on YouTube and stuff, and then they just like get like chills and stuff. Doing something out of your comfort zone. So maybe going like bungee jumping and like experiencing how like new and awesome that is. Doing something, oh wait, sorry, seeing something you're not used to seeing. So maybe like a national park that you haven't been to before, and watching professionals at work. So like maybe like an artist doing their thing in front of you. Um, so that's basically what we said about that. It is Allison. I probably didn't. I was too excited to get started. Yeah, it's so fun. Yeah. You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right, let's take you back there. I never thought I'd be in charge of sanitation, but there's a mic there for you.
Okay. I'm Tara. Anyone? Okay. Our definition of awe was a feeling of wonder and amazement that causes great joy. So one example that we had was watching like an impressive performance that gives you goosebumps, like which a lot of people have talked about. And so we had like singing or acting. We talked about like Broadway and how that can give you goosebumps if someone's really talented. Another one was being on a road trip and admiring the scenery. We had someone from our table that was from Washington, and they have a lot of cool scenery there. So we just talked about like nature a little bit as well. And then we talked about like relationship milestones, like when a baby is born or wedding vows. We talked about how like when you watch those kind of videos, you like can get teary or you can get goosebumps. So just that kind of thing. It was a feeling of wonder and amazement that causes great joy. Um, I went to see the ocean last month. So that was really cool. I went up to Oregon and it was really cold, and so there was a lot of wind, but just like looking at the power of the ocean splashing against rocks was really cool to see.
Hello, my name's Brandon. How's it going? Thank you. We define awe. Okay. We defined awe as a feeling of wonderment that leaves your heart lighter, it leaves your spirit lifted, and a smile on your face. I, I, I like it, but I also like the definition. That, forget who gave it, but the one that was talking about the ocean and how it can be fearful, and that also leaves awe. So I like that example. Anyway, some examples that we had said the redwoods, music, art, Grand Canyon, Mount Rushmore, the Sawtooth Mountains, and glaciers. Something I said the first sip of coffee in the morning leaves me in awe sometimes. And then sunsets and sunrises, all very awe-inspiring things. Hmm. We talked about glaciers and just how like gigantic glaciers are. I never saw them myself, but I think both of them had seen glaciers, and they said that that was like really amazing and how gigantic they were. Thank you.
Hello, I am Brendan. Our table decided that awe was feelings of wonder, tranquility, inspiration, and the awe, or sorry, that come from being mindfully present in a situation. Some examples we had are journaling, taking time to reflect on certain things that happen to you, meditation, and then nature with sunsets and hiking. One of them was moments of contemplation, such as contemplating concepts like how small we are in the universe compared to how ever expanding it is. And then concerts and time with friends and family. One of the ones that speak out to me is concerts, like just being in the moment, like realizing like this is like, oh my gosh, I'm here kind of thing. And just taking in the moment of all the what's going on.
So hi, I'm Emmanuel. Um, what what we said was awe is an emotional response that an individual experiences through something extraordinary or significant to that person. Awe comes in many shapes, sizes, and forms. It's different to everybody. It's more like, yeah. Examples is trying something new, taking in a moment of something that you love or enjoy, or seeing a sunset, concert, or scenic view. I would say like being stimulated, like either mentally or physically. Like, I don't know, this is really weird, but like if you ever got checked for lice, like when you're in elementary school, like that, you know what I'm talking about? Where they have the little like the two sticks. That's physical stimulation. Yeah.
Follows your microphone to that pocket. Can you hear me all right? All right. My name is Logan, and my table and I, we decided to define awe as the peaceful inspiration derived from our surroundings. And some examples that we had thought of was a show of skill, like let's say a snowboarder gliding down a slope, or an act of kindness, like simple example here, someone proposing to their loved one. That's an extreme act of kindness, and if you see it in public, you're like, "Aw." Another one was a technology and how its advancements are so vast, especially within our lifetime, and how much more it's going to proceed, and how inspiring it is to learn more about it and learn how to use it more. Space is awe-inspiring in itself with how vast it is and how large it is, and like I forget who had said it earlier, but how small we are in the universe. It was Brendan. Yeah. And then nature, of course, is large, huge, like an extremely tall forest of pine trees. I'm from Washington, so I see that all the time. No, those are evergreens, not pines, but or like in a rolling ocean wave. And then the last one was public art. Um, for example, the river structure in Boise, in this very center of downtown, that shows the entire length and size and shape of the river in a sort of public art piece. It's just sort of inspiring to see that someone took their time and a lot of intricate effort to make all those little things make sense and place them in the correct area. So yeah, that was our definition of awe. Mm-hmm.
One thing I want to highlight that I didn't hear that I think is pretty relevant, and I'm just doing this for the people who are zooming in, is humility. Not in the I'm embarrassed and humiliated, but humility in what Ellie was talking about. Our relevance related to other entities, and that is one of the sort of hidden pieces of awe. Yeah, that's one of the hidden pieces of awe. The recognizing the scope, right? The grandeur of something. I heard a lot of you share about being in connected spaces, being in concerts, being with your infant, sharing meaningful moments with people. And then there was a lot of this size relativity. And in that size relativity is this experience of humility in its purest, most simplest form. And thinking about that. There you are. Thank you. I am going to check my chat really quick. Okay. And I am going to share my screen. And you do not need to opt in and have your be on there just yet. I'll be presenting just a few things here. Here we are. Perfect. So, lots of different ways to get to awe. How do you think awe contributes to happiness? What does it do for you? Why bother? What does awe do for you? How does that contribute to happiness? In this part, we're talking about positive emotions. For those of you that haven't watched the videos yet, we are working from Martin Seligman's The Father of Positive Psychology, his approach to understanding flourishing. Now, he wrote a book several years ago, I want to say maybe early 2000s, regarding happiness. And his premise was, let's focus on positive psychology. Let's do happiness. Happiness is what we want. And he's actually since revisited that and said, you know what? Happiness is just the emotion, right? We want to focus on flourishing, right? The greater conceptualization of all the things that can feed into that positive affective state. And so he reformulated happiness, moved away from that, and now talks about flourishing. And flourishing has 5 main pieces: positive emotions, engagements, relationship, meaning, and accomplishments. Okay? And so we're going to cover one of these each week. We're going to have some detailed readings that tap into the science of happiness, and also readings and content that tap into this concept of flourishing. Now, those two overlap almost entirely. Okay, so if I were to talk about a Venn diagram, I would say that there's a moon sliver that falls outside of each one of those. And so we're going to be focusing on the overlapping pieces. And when we talk about awe, in awe is that positive emotion, right? That affective state. One of the reasons why Martin Seligman wanted to move away from happiness is because good things can be in your life and you might not necessarily be happy, right? You might not have the affective state or quality of being happy. And so he wanted to revisit that instead of being so focused on smiling, on serotonin, on, right, these biological markers of the emotion of happiness. He wanted to focus on the broad continuum of the human experience of flourishing, which shows up in positive emotions. That's our lowest hanging fruit when we talk about flourishing, which is the equivalent to the emotional experience of happiness. But then we also need to talk about engagement. What are we doing in our life that's taking care of us, that's inspiring us, that is motivating us? And then relationships. Who's in our life? How are we connecting? How are we relating? How have those things changed? We're going to talk about that. Obviously not next week because of Labor Day, but the week after. We're going to talk about how in these current times we are working to maintain these relationships. Meaning. Meaning is really starting to take center stage in the flourishing science, in the happiness science, in that people that don't identify meaning, and somebody, I can't remember who differentiated between, I think it was you, Cassidy, a spiritual versus religious experience. Thank you for that. That was fabulous. You know, religious being of a specific doctrine, spiritual being of a broader, more general understanding of connection throughout space, time, universe, all of those things. What we're finding now in the science is that the best bang for our buck comes from how people assign meaning to their life and that experience. And in fact, one of the rabbit holes that I've dove down recently is that is now your cognitive charge, right? Piaget, all of our cognitive scientists say that at around 11 years of age, you've sort of crested into the final cognitive hurdle, where you're developing what we call formal operations. Hypothetical, deductive reasoning, being able to use logic, being able to understand non-tangible examples. Well, what we're seeing in the science is that there's actually another cognitive development that begins to happen during your age span, the majority of your age spans, which is emerging adulthood. And in this emerging adulthood, your charge, your task, is to bring the world into you, decide whether or not those things that you bring in, if they're yours or not, right? Do they fit with you? If they don't, let them go. A lot of us have a hard time letting them go and we end up suffering, right? If they do identify or resonate with us, we can hold on to that, okay? We can nurture that. But then what we do is that when we decide to hold on to something, we do what we call meaning making, beginning to understand that content in our context. Anytime we can think about our politically charged climate right now, anytime you hear something that you disagree with, that does not fit with you. Anytime you hear something that you agree with, that fits with you. The cognitive challenge before us today is to provide an equal opportunity to all those things and make an intentional decision. That's your big cognitive task. So when we talk about meaning, I'm really super stoked because I've been spending a lot of time in this science recently on how we can help you in your emerging adulthood create that meaning. One of the ways we do that is that we have you make your own definitions for content, right? Supported, informed from what you know of the science now, but then pull examples. Now, right, moving forward, listening to other people's examples of awe, you're going to see awe more. Because now your definition and that meaning has broadened. Every time I acknowledged somebody who was sharing their group's experience and included something that I hadn't considered, like the advances in technology, like those things blow my mind all the time. And I would have never considered them to be part of awe, but they are. They are part of the awe that I experience. So meaning, right? And then the last thing we're going to talk about is accomplishment. And we're going to talk about goal setting, but we're always going to focus on how these things, right, these pieces help you bring together and engender happiness. And we're going to be going through, much like you guys took the A quiz, okay? You're going to be taking quizzes every week, and then you're going to get to opt into another inaction. Some of these inactions are hard. I have done them all. I'm not going to ask you guys to do anything that I haven't done. I have done them all myself, and I know that they're hard, but they're worth it, okay? Some of them will feel impossible. But exploring these parts of you is part of that meaning making, is part of bringing that value through for yourself. And that's hard for a lot of us, to challenge ourselves in those respects. Okay. Make sure why isn't my little advancer working? Here we go. All right, so I read a book this summer called The Happiness Hypothesis. I don't remember the author's name. It was fascinating. I can sum it up in 3 bullet points. No, not really, but I can sum it up pretty quickly. That's why it didn't become content for this book. The reason why we don't have a textbook for this class, one, our web has so many invaluable resources. I had not found, right, prior to a week or so before class started, a book that I felt covered everything well enough. Even Martin Seligman's Flourish, like the first 4 chapters are great. After that, it's really not effective. But this happiness hypothesis is one of the books that I read in entertaining for this class. And here's the premise. The premise is that there really is only 3 ways for you to get happy. Chemical intervention through the antidepressants, therapy, right? Antidepressants, on average, depending upon the dose and the drug that you take, can range anywhere from $30 a month to $330 a month. Therapy, right? Again, depending upon who you go to and how often you go to, could be $300 a month or several thousands of dollars a month, or mindfulness and meditation. And basically, his book advocates for us to become intentional, to become mindful, and to work on meditation. Hence, the big thread you're going to be seeing woven throughout our classes and our experiences, and some of you have already sampled from our announcement, and the meditation, the grounding meditation that I scaffolded for you. One of the things that you get to do when you get trained as a yoga instructor is that you also get instruction on leading meditation and mindfulness. I am really blessed in that one of my nearest and dearest friends she has 2 PhDs, one in social psychology and one in clinical psychology. And she does mindfulness, clinical therapy, and neuroscience research. She's a uber nerd. I love her very much. But she does mindfulness. And so I want to she would begrudge me if I didn't take a moment to point out the differences. Who knows the difference between mindfulness and meditation? Who just wants to take a swing at it? Come on. Me just telling you that there's a difference, right? Ellie, go ahead, and I'll get to you, Brandon. Go for it. Okay. All right. I think that you're doing a brilliant job. Brandon, do you want to add to that? Okay. Anybody else want to add some subtlety here? Is it Logan? Go ahead, Logan. Okay. All right, some additional subtleties there. Anybody else? You guys are doing awesome. So mindfulness is something that you can just do throughout the day. Meditation does involve removing our senses from the environment, right? Mindfulness is a cognitive, contextual approach to the day-to-day. So being mindful, in much like Logan was outlining, is the way in which you do things. Okay? My friend always says, you know, mindfulness is just about recognizing where you are in all the complexity of where you are. Meditation is moving away from that complexity. Okay, so much like the grounding meditation, and it's more of a grounding and less of a meditation, but and even the visualization, right? If I'm telling you what to sort of see in your mind's eye, that's a visualization. It's grounding because we're working on visuals that have us rooting down, having us become embodied. You can have a meditation that takes you out of your body. Mindfulness is going to be just about recognizing where you are, not changing what you're seeing, not changing what you're feeling, just recognizing it. So even if I say right now, allow your shoulders to just drift away from your ears a little bit. Oh my God, doesn't that change things? Just allowing that just subtle shift, that relaxation. That is part of meditation, not mindfulness. Now, just recognize right now, how does your legs, your sit bones, and your back feel just in the chair? Just recognize where you're at. You don't need to adjust, but just recognize the pressure points, the support, the lack of support, maybe any sensations that you have. Okay? Meditation, changing what you're doing, right? Becoming more intentional in that relaxed state. Mindfulness is just recognizing where you're at. We are going to bounce between these three throughout the semester. I think the argument that this author laid out for these interventions is really strongly supported. And believe it or not, we enter a contemplative state when we're journaling, when we are writing about gratitude, when we're writing about three good things, and when we're writing about what went well, right? So I have purposefully, right, created opportunities for you to experience that. And we're going to have some more opportunities to experience that. Just so we're all clear, if you ever need to get up, stretch your legs, go out and take a drink, go to the bathroom, you can always get up and take care of yourself at any time. I want to not do that one. I want to do this one. We'll pop back. But I first want to have you guys sit in meditation. So when we do a meditation, we want to allow as much sufficient blood flow as possible. So we want to sit square in our chair with our feet to the floor, our back supported by our seat, no ankles crossed, no feet crossed, nothing crossed, everything fully open and available. I'm going to turn the volume up because this guidance is it's very soft. This is a 12-minute meditation. Now, in the interest of being trauma sensitive, right, you can close your eyes, you can leave your eyes open. Make sure and please take care of yourself. Logan? I'd prefer if you don't, just because unless you are practiced in contemplation, for most people sitting on the floor is going to be uncomfortable. The other thing is that just if you sit on the floor, you have to engage your back and your abdominals in order to stay up. And I really want you guys to just be able to release and allow all the structures to support you. Keep yourself uncrossed. Try to keep those ankles uncrossed. Try to keep your arms from crossing each other. It's all about blood flow. We don't want anything to be impinged. Okay? And this meditation isn't about staying in one. If you need to readjust, please do. I mean, we're not, aspiring gurus. Well, maybe you're aspiring. I'm not an aspiring guru. I just want you to be comfortable. And I want you to drop in. And this is a mindfulness meditation on positive emotions to help build, and I put that in quotes, happiness. I'm going to do a quick volume check. I'm going to back this up just a little bit.
14, which you'll find at mindful15.com/gratitude.
Is that good? A little too loud, maybe?
The following is a 12-minute guided meditation on positive emotions. Begin by taking a supported position. Be sure your knees or your feet are making contact with the ground so that you're stable. Make your back upright and straight so that you are alert. And let your shoulders and arms release so that you are relaxed. And then gently close your eyes and bring your attention to the breath. You can focus on any area in the body where you can comfortably and easily follow the breath. Put your attention there. Follow one breath at a time. Follow this in-breath. Follow this out-breath. Then follow this in-breath. And follow this out-breath. And follow this breath. And now bring to mind a recent pleasant experience. It could be anything: a relaxing walk, a reviving chat with a friend, playing happily with a child, reading an engaging book, any pleasant experience, big or small. And recall the pleasant feelings that arose during that experience. Happiness, contentment, relaxation, gratitude, joy. If you can't think of a pleasant experience, that's okay. Just sit with the breath and thank yourself for taking the time to do this practice. Savor the memories of this pleasant experience. Enjoy them fully. Notice how the memories feel in your body right now. Scan the body and notice how it feels while you dwell on the positive. Get very curious about how the feelings affect the physical body. Notice also the emotions that you come up as you're sitting here. Perhaps you feel joy, hope, contentment, or you might feel anxiety or fear or a strong craving for more pleasant experiences. Whatever emotions come up, just notice them. Just sit with them and notice how they come and how they go. And notice how the emotions feel in the body. As the emotions change, notice how sensations in the body change. Sit and watch the emotions as they arise and as they fade. And notice what thoughts come up as you watch the memories and the emotions they generate. Do you resist focusing on the pleasant? Do you feel guilty for allowing yourself to feel pleasant emotions? Maybe you think you don't deserve to dwell on the positive, that you need to be a better person before you can be happy. Or maybe you find yourself generating thoughts about things that are not so positive. Or perhaps your mind is flitting quickly from one positive event to another. Allow those thoughts to just come up. Just notice them. They're allowed to be there. But you don't need to follow them. Notice them, then let them go, and come back to the positive feelings. Keep coming back to the sensations in the body, the sensations that arise with the positive memories and emotions. And now bring your attention gently back to your breath. Simply sit and follow the breath. Notice yourself breathing in. Notice yourself breathing out. And whenever you notice your attention wandering, patiently guide it back to the breath. And now it's time to end our meditation. You might like to thank yourself for taking this time to learn to cultivate positive emotions, and reassure yourself that you'll return to this practice to strengthen your skills. When you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. I hope you've enjoyed sitting with positive emotions. I encourage you to practice this meditation regularly to build your skills. Next week, I kick off a new series on guided versus
Let's have a few people report out. Taylor, constant contributor. I'm grateful for you. What do you got? So it felt detoxing. What were you purging? Okay. Go ahead. Your thoughts. What's your name? Olivia. Okay. Started to forget that you're in a class. Okay. Good. For how many of you was that kind of restorative and a little bit of a reset, like Taylor was saying? Right? Now, how can you imagine that experience would contribute to your happiness? What do you think might be the mechanisms by which meditating and being mindful would contribute to happiness? Go ahead. Okay, so optimism, right? I mean, this was a meditation about positive emotions, so there's that optimism piece. Go ahead. Okay. Nice. Well, in the Buddhist world, of which I ascribe to no spirituality specifically, but if I'm close to something, it's yoga and Buddhism. That's the goal, right? The goal is to not have specifics run across your brain, but to have that nothingness or that no thingness that they talk about. So how else do you think practices like this and the sensation that you have in you right now, like what do you think are some of the other active mechanisms besides positivity and just almost like a check out or a hard reset like Taylor was talking about? Go ahead, Brandon. Yeah. Okay, so you appreciated the content, right? The permission to be happy, the permission to let go, the permission to feel good in the languaging that the meditation provided. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Or acknowledge them and allow them to keep moving, but then try to reground yourself in the positivity. So I would challenge you guys. No, this is not an assignment. I don't want to make this an assignment because I think this is too important to make you feel like it's something that you have to do. But we have so many resources in our culture right now in order to allow you to meditate and be mindful. There's Insight Timer, there's Calm, there are so many different applications. You can even find meditation playlists on Spotify. Try that, right? Taylor, I don't know about any of you guys, but I don't have a day. I really don't. I don't have a day where I just get to check out, let the dust settle, blah, blah, blah. I don't have that. But I've got 10 minutes, you know, and I might not even have 10 minutes every day where this becomes something that I give permission to impact my life. But I can have 10 minutes a couple times throughout the week to allow me to come to that space. Allow myself to maybe lose connection with my context, right? Not even feel like I'm sitting in a classroom, or reframe for optimism, or allow myself to kind of go to a space of nothing, or an opportunity to just recognize the positive things in your life. Try to find a way to scale that in. I'm going to provide you resources, and we're going to be doing practices throughout the semester, just because the science is entirely too compelling for me not to incorporate it. So the last round of discussions that I want you guys to have is we're going to talk about positive emotion, right? At your table, you want to develop a clear consensus of the following. How do you know you are experiencing a positive emotion? Are positive emotions experienced the same way by everyone? And then what are some individual practices that can increase positive emotions? So those are your 3 talking points. I want you guys to be sure to discuss and move towards that. We're not going to have an official reporting out, but this is something that you're going to want to be able to reflect on later, especially leading into the journal prompts that I'm going to give you guys after your discussion. Any questions before I release you guys to discuss? And is there a table that would be willing to volunteer and sort of loop in the people that are Zooming in today? Is there a table that's willing to open up their computers and just kind of fold them into your conversation? I volunteer you guys. Thank you very much. So go ahead and open up your laptops, re-log into Zoom, make sure you're connected there. And then we have 2 students. You'll recognize them because they're the ones without masks that you can pop in and chat with. I'm going to go ahead and turn on our tunes, and you can get to chatting. Yeah.
Jeg kjører høy fart med mopedbart. Jeg har ikke klokke på, ingen steder jeg må gå. Jeg kjører høy fart med mopedbart. Jeg ruller opp noen små og er ferdig pakka nå.
Try it again. We're going to incorporate you guys with for the prompts that are on the board. Can you guys hear me? Want to do it again? I also think
Oh, excellent. Good to know. That's probably much better.
okay. In those and the cases when I talk.
All right, I know you guys had technical difficulties. I'm learning too. Thank you for letting me know. So what I would like to hear, and we'll just do a popcorn share, have somebody from each table speak to what are some individual practices that can increase positive emotions. And we're going to start back here with you folks. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, how about this table right here? And who uses that as a practice right now? You journal? Okay. For how many of you is journaling kind of an active practice? Okay. All right. Good to hear. How about this table right here? And we'll take one more after you. Yeah. Okay. And is that a practice that any of you have right now? Okay, all right. So you guys kind of have a general experience of gratitude. And then Cassidy's table, somebody from you guys. Okay. So in the happiness hypothesis, when we were looking at chemical intervention, right, that sort of endorphins, oxytocin, serotonin, there are different lifestyle choices we can make that would elevate and help those. Chocolate is a really great serotonin booster, and so is caffeine. The problem is that they're so ubiquitous throughout our culture that they lose their effectiveness. It's about the amount of uptakes and everything else in your brain, but that's another really great way to get to it. All right, so raise your hand if you learned something today that you hadn't considered in your own sort of conceptualization or understanding about happiness. Mission accomplished. Okay, mission accomplished. So now what I want you to do is I want you to bust out your journals, and these are our prompts. You're going to see these just about every single day. Yes, I want you to do these next week. Okay, I'll make a little video for you guys for next week since we won't actually be meeting face to face. I'm going to give you all the prompts. Feel free to, you can either write down the prompts and leave and complete them later, or you can complete them right now. We want to be mindful of the next class that's coming in. I want to remind you all that if you were the scribe, which means the person that wrote on the poster, would you please wipe down your markers and put them away over there? Be mindful of students moving around you. We're going to flow out of the classroom this way. People are going to flow to this back wall and then go this way and then take the stairs or the elevator down. Okay, so then those of you who need to drop off markers, you'll be able to head that way. And those of you that are not dropping off markers, we just want to move towards that side of the classroom and then out that door. All right, so we're always going to say happiness is, and now this gets to be yours. The reason why we do these every single week is that this is about your final, right? You're going to be talking about the evolution of your own understanding. So guess what? You learned something today. So today, you get to evolve this definition of what happiness is to you. I also want you to always be thinking about how and what contributes, what contextual contributions, right, help to elevate your happiness. What's happening around you? Who are you with? What are you seeing? What are you doing? What are you experiencing? What are you not experiencing? I realized I need to share this with the Zoom peeps. Okay? When I am happy, what is happiness a catalyst for you? What do you find yourself stepping towards when you're happy? Right? When you are in this emotional state of happiness, where do you go? What do you do? What do you choose to do? How does it change your frame? And then lastly, I practice happiness by. All of these prompts are intended to create what we call conscious competency, which means that you really start to intellectualize and understand what your happiness is to you. All of this is building towards your final presentation, your final essay and your final presentation, which are one and the same. You write the essay and then you'll create a slide, maybe a slideshow if that's you. If not, you can just create a singular slide that is going to speak to this evolution in your understanding. What we're working towards is creating a happiness fit, right? What about our lifestyle, practices, perceptions, and approaches to our life will engender this positive experience for ourselves? All right, I'm going to stay up at the front of the classroom while you guys are returning pins. Make sure and throw away your posters. There's a recycle bin right back there. Otherwise, have a fabulous week. I won't see you next week. Be looking for an announcement and be looking for week 3 stuff on Wednesday. Remember your 6 feet of distance. Thank you. You guys are doing an amazing job. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so this table opted not to return their markers. Of what? No, you need to head out that way so you don't overlap with the other class. Okay, so maybe people don't understand. They don't spreche here. This is why I thought that they would be able to grasp this concept. I'm not entirely sure. Okay, go ahead and start filling that one up. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you very much.